So, hello, my fellow psychonauts. This is Rob. I'm here at Breaking Convention 2023, somewhere in Exeter. And yeah, I just thought I'd share my thoughts on the conference experience so far. Because I think when people talk about like a conference, you get a certain image in your mind of sort of sitting there and lectures and taking in a lot of data and stuff like that. And there's certainly that aspect to it. But this is very unlike previous psychedelic conferences I've attended, which is very much focused on the science and the data and the clinical studies and stuff like that. Instead, what's going on here, there's all these different kind of narrative strands that are being woven together under this kind of topic of psychedelia. And it's absolutely fascinating and totally in the spirit of what I think a conference about psychedelics should be. Because if we think of psychedelics as being consciousness expanding, then yeah, the conference itself is consciousness expanding. I've had ideas and things that have lit me up, given me creative thoughts in the way that psychedelics do, but just here at the conference. Like I've heard narrative strands that I would have never ever associated with psychedelics. Just as an example, where there was a talk yesterday from a guy whose day job is as an undertaker. So he's dealing with dead bodies, grieving people. And his release for this was to go out and be part of the rave culture scene and to heal the trauma that he was receiving and mediating, to heal that through dance culture and through psychedelic culture. And that's just such an amazing strand. And to think, we talk a lot about people being in certain positions that they should really, have these experiences. So we talk about like how much different it would be if the police had to have so many psychedelic experiences under the belt. If ambulance workers, if they could have that, the change in compassion it would be, or firefighters, or soldiers, or politicians. And then to hear this guy, talk about that from an undertaker's point of view, this point where people are in this heightened state of distress and confusion, and how he deals with that, and how psychedelics have taught him to sort of mediate that, and how also that he's tailored his work to accommodate that. And this really struck a chord with me, because I've been to more funerals than I would have liked to have been to, and none of them ever resonated with me because they felt so impersonal. And through this guy's the compassion and the empathy that he'd found in the world of psychedelics, he'd been able to sort of tailor funerals to make them much more personal. And I mean, I would have never dreamed in a million years I would have been at a psychedelic conference listening to a guy talk about funerals, but it was fascinating, and that was just one of many. I've also listened to a guy who was talking, one of the guys who was famous for producing like 90% of the world's LSD supply, and how the time he spent like 20 years in prison, and what that sort of did to him, and how he sort of got through it, and how he, the lessons that he learned from psychedelics helped him to get through it. And it was absolutely beautiful. It was incredibly sad. But yeah, hearing these different strands of thought, this to me is like truly is a consciousness expanding conference. It's not just sitting there looking at clinical data going, yes, that's interesting. We can all pat ourselves on the back because psychedelics are jolly good for us. Which again, there's nothing wrong with that, and that is certainly here. There is plenty of science here. If you want to do science, that's here. But I've found it just so much more interesting to just expose myself to stuff that I wouldn't have necessarily thought I was going to be exposed to. So I'm kind of deliberately going out of my way to go to talks which I've got like no kind of normal interest in, there's no point me going to a lecture all about ayahuasca and what ayahuasca does and how great it is for you and how it can heal trauma. This is preaching to the choir. There's no point me sitting through that. Instead, like I say, I'm going to these ones which have got very sort of like far right ideas, which are really stimulating sort of my creativity, my thoughts about what psychedelics are, what psychedelics could be, and what psychedelics are doing for other people who are not me, and sort of expanding my own sort of sphere of consciousness, of sort of creativity and awareness. And so, what more could you want from a conference on psychedelics? Psychedelics is more than just the substance itself, as in like the entire phenomenon that's exploding out of these experiences. And yeah, it's been absolutely awesome. It's only been day 1 so far, and you can see I'm already pretty stoked from it. So I've got another 2 days. Today, I'm really looking forward to seeing Graham Hancock. I'm not sure if he's here in person or if he's just going to dial in, but either way, big Graham Hancock fan, so looking forward to what he's got to say. As you can see, I've kind of got up here quite early this morning to make this. Normally, this will be quite busy in about an hour or so. But yeah, back in sunny England, it's fucking freezing. Anyway, I think that's all I've got to say so far. I'll probably record some more stuff later on. After sort of today's events, I'll let you know what my thoughts are on that. I just want to give a big shout out and a lot of gratitude to the people who've come up to me and said hello today. It's been very humbling. I did not expect to get recognised much. I've had just people coming over, just wanted to say hello, just sort of talking. I've had people give me gifts that they brought for me. It's been so touching, especially as some of you might know, I've just really been going through some shit recently with my, some situations in my family. So yeah, I mean, this was one of the reasons I came to Breaking Convention, was just to give myself like a kind of a reset, to get myself out of my apartment, out of Switzerland, just sort of take the focus away from stewing in my problems, and just like try and get things like creativity stimulate again. And yeah, it's been great. And all the people who came over said, "Lord, thank you. It meant so much to me. It really did." I wish I could remember all your names. There was Wally, there was Gavin, there was Cameron. I can't really go for Philip. I can't go through everyone's name because otherwise I'm going to forget people, and I've probably already forgotten them. But thank you so much, guys. It's been so cool. I kind of came here just on my own, just to sort of mooch around, and yeah, I've just felt like I've been surrounded by friends all the time here, which is another very cool thing about this event. You don't just feel like the attendee of an event, you feel really like you are part of a community. Like I feel like I could just walk up to people, obviously when there's more people, and just start a conversation with them, whether they know who I am or not. Not that anyone should know who I am. I'm not not some like major celebrity or something. Although I'm starting to feel a little bit like it. But yeah, you can just walk up to people and strike up a conversation, and people will, I've like engage with you for like half an hour, and it's just so cool when we talk about a psychedelic community. I think it's something like this. I think this is the kind of the thing that's spinning in my head. How could we make this into sort of micro environments? Obviously, to get everyone in one big conference where there's a big name to it and a big brand to it, and all these super interesting events. That's great. Obviously, it brings people into that one place. But how can you sustain that sustain that community and build those sort of micro pockets? This is something I'm really interested in. I'm going to really put my brain to it when I get back home. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So this was my blog gushing review prattle of day 1 of Breaking Convention. I'm going to go and capture some more footage and stuff now. But yeah, I'll record something else tomorrow. I'll catch you later, guys.